Hello, YouTubers. Welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have a whole stack of articles, and I'm going to try my very best to get them all into one for you. Probably be a little long. It's a Sunday morning, so while you're having your morning coffee and donuts or Danish or whatever it is that you're having, you can just sit back and enjoy the news this morning. I want to start this out with a little disclaimer. I've been getting some messages on my channel from folks that appreciate me not being like what they see on the mainstream media, because I don't talk like them folks do, and I don't maybe enunciate like those folks do, and every once in a while I might stumble over my words or mispronounce something, and I have a dickens of a time with some of them foreign names that they put in these articles. This isn't a paid gig that we got going here. I'm just a retiree that's trying to keep people informed of the news. And I'm not perfect, and I don't think that anybody else is perfect either. And it seems just fascinating to me that when I pull up these people's channel that wants to, that they don't have any content, they don't have a real name, they don't have any subscriptions, they don't have any videos that they've done, and most of them don't even have any subscribers. If they don't have anything to follow them to make them look like they're some big professional that I ought to be taking advice from, guess what? I'm just me doing the best that I can, trying to on what's going on in the news, because I realize that a lot of folks are too busy to keep up with everything. Tune into one show, and I'm not covering everything that there is in the world to cover. I'm just giving you the high spots here. So if you can't appreciate that, then this isn't the channel for you. All my dedicated listeners and the folks that appreciate what I'm trying to put out here, but if you can't appreciate it, then this isn't the channel for you. And I understand that. Not every channel's for everybody. I've run across a few on YouTube that, but hey, different strokes for different folks. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and jump on into the news here and try to keep those of you that want to hang with me informed on what's going on. First one I have here is off of Liberty Riders News. This, I guess, first of all, we're going to start off with, since I'm not paid anything for this, I've got an old computer that is just limping along. It's like old, and it's got a hamster that turns the wheel, and the hamster is worn out. He's only got 3 legs and 1 eye and half a brain cell. So I don't have professional equipment that I'm working with. You're just going to have to hang in. We're going to do the best we can with what we got. It's off of Liberty Riders, and Hamster got it up here for me. It says, Trump lashes back out. About Mike Flynn will shock the nation. Hamster, to roll it up here on the screen a little bit, I'll tell you what he's got to say. There's a video in this. They're in the description of the video, so you can pull them up and take a look at them for yourself. If you want to look at any of the links in them, you want to look at any of the videos, if you want to make sure of how something's pronounced, or maybe you don't think that I said something correctly and you want to check it out for yourself. So here we go. This says, do you hate the fake news media? We hate the fake news media. Fake news is killing people's minds. Fake news is CNN, MSNBC, and the failing New York Times. President Donald Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. During the press briefing, Trump lashed out at the fake news media. The first question went to David Brody from the Christian News Network. The continued intelligence leaks. And there's some more video there. It says, President Trump, General Flynn is a wonderful man. I think he's been treated very, very unfavorably by the media, as I call it, the fake media in many cases. And I think it's really sad thing that he was treated so badly. Media attacked Michael Flynn incessantly. Look what Trump tweeted about these liars. He says in a tweet, fake news media is going crazy with their conspiracy theories and blind hatred. See, at CNN, we try that again. At MSNBC and CNN are unwatchable. Friends, or Fox and Friends, is great. So there you have that article. Kind of skip around a little bit here because I've got another one down here that has to do, it's on the same note. Go. This is on Liberty Writers as well. It's says here it is. Trump just put out a list of 5 media that are destroying America. Donald Trump really turned some heads yesterday after he destroyed the lying media during his epic press conference. However, nobody could have predicted what he did the day after the press conference. Twitter to reveal his own list of 5 media companies who are enemies of the United States. And that's New York Times, CNN, NBC News, CBS, and ABC. Actual tweet in this if you want to take a look at it. There's some video in this as well. The article says, to make it even better, Trump's original tweet had only 3 companies. Then he deleted it and added ABC and CBS to the list. Forgot one of the worst offenders of all, which is Washington Compost. The mainstream media is freaking the hell out. They are acting like they are innocent in this whole mess. The truth is, however, they are not. For too long now, these powerful companies have used their influence to direct politics and the American people to act out while lying about their unbiased. It was that the lie had led to so many terrible tragedies, since most notably the war in Iraq and the loads of fake scandals they have created. Back against those tyrants who oppress smaller media sources using their money and lawyers while brainwashing the public so we can return to the real free press that our country deserves. And another one going here. This one is off of westernjournalism.com. And it says, House Intel chair says Flynn appetizer, Trump entree in orchestrated leak campaign. The chairman of the House Select Committee on Intelligence believes that the targeting of General Michael Flynn for a leak campaign orchestrated by the intelligence community and the media is just the appetizer. Representative Devin Nunes, Republican of California, told Bloomberg View, first it's Flynn, next it'll be Kellyanne Conway, Steve Bannon, then it'll be Reince Priebus, adding, Flynn is only the appetizer, Trump is the entree. Be a well-orchestrated effort, he added, from the leaking of phone calls between the president and the foreign leader to what appears to be high-level FISA court information to the leaking of American citizens being denied security clearance. And I'm waiting for the hamster to scroll it up a little bit more here. Characterized the leaking of transcripts of private phone conversations by intelligence community. Hamster got a little overzealous. Let's bring it back down a little bit here. See him spinning in the wheel. Okay, Lake characterized the leaking of transcripts of private phone conversations by the intelligence community to undermine the new administration as tactics. Normally, intercepts of U.S. officials and citizens are some of the most tightly held government secrets. This is for good reason. Selectively disclosing details of private conversations monitored by the FBI or NSA gives the permanent state of power to destroy reputations from the cloak of anonymity. States do. Like continued, in the past, it was considered scandalous for senior U.S. officials The identities of U.S. officials accidentally or incidentally, try that again, of U.S. officials incidentally monitored by the government. Normally, they are redacted from intelligence reports. Flynn, target for the national security state, columnist wrote. He had cultivated a reputation as a reformer and a fierce critic of the intelligence community, once served with when he was the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency under President Barack Obama. The reporter concluded the nation was really a political assassination. Commended Lake for his coverage of the aspect of the Flynn story. And Donald Trump wrote, "Thank you to Eli Lake for the Bloomberg view. FBI should not interfere in our politics, and it's a very serious situation for the USA." The Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo, his assessment. He reported Tuesday that Flynn's removal as the NBC advisor was actually a secret months long those connected with the Obama administration, including former Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications Ben Rhodes, to undermine the incoming administration's security apparatus generally, DIA director specifically. And PJ Media, in a report, Obama loyalists led by Ben Rhodes orchestrated ouster, and they give a URL here if you want to click on that. To says the effort included a small task force of Obama loyalists who deluged media outlets with stories aimed at eroding Flynn's credibility, intended overall to establish a set of roadblocks before Trump's national security team at preventing the new administration from dismantling the Iran nuclear agreement. Bragged last summer about exploiting the media to push through the Obama administration-backed Iran nuclear deal on Capitol Hill. It's undeniable that the campaign to discredit Flynn was well underway before Inauguration Day, with a very troublesome and politicized series of leaks designed to undermine him, said one veteran national security advisor with close ties to the Trump White House team, according to the Washington Free Beacon. Me of the lead up to the Iran deal and probably features the same cast of characters. The president took to Twitter on Wednesday to bring attention to what he believes is truly the scandalous aspects of the story. He says the real scandal here is that classified information is illegally given out by intelligence like candy, very un-American. It's being illegally given to the failing Washington Post by the intelligence community. NSA and FBI, question mark, just like Russia. The fake news media is going crazy with their conspiracy theories, and blind hatred at MSNBC and CNN are unwatchable. There you have that one. The next one we have here is off of Conservative Tribune. And waiting for the hamster to catch up. Wheels spinning. Lights are on. Nobody's home. Says never Chelsea, with the Democrats behind it. As the Democratic Party has started to recover from its humiliating loss in 2016, some party members are looking to presidential nominee Hillary Clinton's daughter, Chelsea Clinton, as the person to lead the party at some point. It's on the Clinton bandwagon. In fact, the Democrats are actively starting to form a sort of Never Chelsea movement to stop her from getting into politics. It's reported. Chelsea needs to go away, explained Guinevere Boyd, age 49, who attended a Democratic National Committee forum over the weekend. She has nothing to offer. She has said some horrible, clueless things about progressives and progressive issues. There we go. The objections to Chelsea show just how far the left left the Democrat Party has gone. It's gotten to the point where someone as liberal as Chelsea is considered too mainstream. Have any more appetite for the Clintons, stated Mike Bender, age 61, a Baltimore resident. Enough is enough, and frankly, I think the Clinton policies going back to Bill are what took the Democrats to the center and to the right. And you can see what kind of enthusiasm that inspired. Ironically enough, when Democrats were at the center, popular. It was after their sudden lurch leftward during the Obama administration that they started to lose elections below the presidential level, then the presidential election itself. This liberal backlash has come after reports indicated that the Clintons might be eyeing a run for Senate, or that, try that again, that Clinton, talking about Chelsea, might be eyeing a run for the Senate. But the New York Post reported that she quickly quashed those reports by claiming she wouldn't run. CNN noted last week that Chelsea Clinton opinions on politics a lot more than she used to, especially on Twitter, fueling speculation that she is still thinking about going into politics at some level or another. In any case, it's clear that many Democrats have had enough of the Clintons. Their only problem is that while Democrats may want a new face for the Democrat Party, there is absolutely no one who can step up and lead. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and watch the Democrat Party implode. All I have is off of Western journalism. Warren Buffett. As Warren Buffett dumps most of his stake, dumps most of his stake in Walmart, invests in Apple and airlines. Investor Warren Buffett has sold off 89% of his shares of Walmart as the giant retailer fights Amazon for share of the e-commerce market. Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway announced Tuesday that it had sold off $900 million of Walmart stocks as it invested elsewhere. Buffett's firm went big into airline stocks and more than doubled its ownership in American Airlines, up by 6 times its shares in United, and increased its investment in Delta by 1,465%. Also increased its ownership of Southwest Airlines, in which it now owns 43 million shares. Apple was another target for Berkshire. Shares of the tech giant by 277% in the final quarter of last year. Buffett noted in 2016, when he started selling off Walmart stock, that Amazon was causing upheaval across the retail sector. Big force, and it has already disrupted plenty of people and will disrupt more, Buffett said. He said Amazon's competitors in a few areas have not figured the way to either participate in it or counter it. And there's a tweet that says this tweet's from Business Insider. It says Warren Buffett just dropped Walmart and signaled the death of retail as we know it. Buffett is very skeptical when it comes to retail reboots. Retailing is like shooting a target, Buffett said. Turning around a retailer that's been slipping for a long time would be very difficult. Can you think of an example of a retailer that was successfully turned around? Sales for 2015 were $13.7 billion. Amazon amassed $107 billion in sales. To compete against Amazon, Walmart needs to stress what it does best, said Cohen and Company analyzer Oliver Chen. Use its physical presence to deliver services that can't be replicated online and focus on its low-cost image. Walmart needs to change and accelerate innovation in pricing, assortment, access, and experience. Otherwise, we believe the company will continue to lose market share to Amazon, Chen said. Other analysts say Amazon will be hard to beat. Popularity and convenience of Amazon Prime, now in 50 million homes, makes it less and less likely shoppers would go anywhere else but Amazon, said Stephanie Zarbun, research for internet retailer. Walmart doesn't have the assortment, the fast shipping, or the innovative culture that Amazon has, says Sucharita Mulpuru Kodalai, and I'm guessing that I'm pronouncing that somewhere close to reality, an analyst with Forrester Research. Walmart is certainly trying as best they can, but they have a lot of legacy systems and big company culture which are difficult to change. The next one that we have here is off of freerangereport.com. House oversight pushes for probe of ethics breach, possible crimes of BLM bully Dan Love. As a federal law enforcement officer, Love's the potential to not only taint your investigation, but to seriously undermine the trust of BLM's law enforcement office and thwart congressional oversight of the Bureau. As such, I request that you investigate allegations raised in your interviews of destruction of federal records, witness tampering, and obstruction of a congressional investigation. The United States House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform wrote a letter responding to the Department of Interior's Inspector General's report on the numerous instances of troubling behavior exhibited by Dan Love. The investigation of The investigation of BLM agent Dan Love has been ongoing and complex, with a history of complaints against Love of bullying, overly aggressive tactics, ethics violations, and now lies and cover-ups. It appears that the most infamous figure in recent BLM history is now under the scrutiny of Congress's most powerful investigative arm. The House Oversight Committee, headed by Jason Chavez, cites extremely serious, potentially criminal activities that go beyond Love's ethics breach related to Burning Man controversy of 2015 or his extreme mishandling of the Operation Cerberus and Bundy Ranch cases. Love's possible criminal activities include destruction of federal records, witness tampering, and obstruction of a congressional investigation. The letter from Oversight to Interior Department Deputy Inspector General Mary L. Kendall complaints and instances of possible criminal activity by Love. And your office initiated this investigation in October of 2015 after receiving numerous complaints concerning BLM employee Daniel Paul Love. The report documents numerous instances of troubling behavior exhibited by Love. And then another excerpt says, your report documents that a witness told your investigators that after receiving a congressional request for documents, the witness heard Dan Love say to another BLM employee that employee needed to make sure that he scrubbed the emails before he sent them, flagging anything that looked inappropriate so that Dan Love could remove them if needed. Says a witness testifies about how BLM employee accessed and deleted hundreds of documents from a shared network. The deleted documents were team documents, which served as the historical record or administrative record for a BLM authorized event. The witness stated the deleted documents were subject to the Federal Records Act and were required under law not to be destroyed. Another excerpt. The timing of the deletion of federal records raises questions. In your report, a BLM employee deleted hundreds of documents on February 3rd of 2016, only to receive a congressional request for those same documents the very next day. The witness states that it just seemed odd to her that on February the 3rd, a lot of documents were removed or deleted from the Google Drive, and then the next day, BLM is hit with the congressional inquiry. Another insert says it also raises questions that former BLM director Neil Corrins was provided as a courtesy advance notice of the congressional document request prior to February the 3rd. We must find out which BLM employee were aware of impeding congressional inquiry when they set about deleting potentially responsive federal records. Another one says, your report documents that Love allegedly attempted to influence the outcome of your investigation by coaching a witness in advance of an interview with your investigators. In your investigative report, specific occasion when Dan Love called a BLM employee and essentially gave said BLM employee talking points to any questions that may come up during his interview with your office. Another insert says, the report states Love provided that same BLM employee with rationalizations leading the employee to believe Love was essentially telling them what to say in the interviews. This allegation is problematic as it occurred after you had already initiated your investigation into Love's behavior. Another excerpt says, as a federal law enforcement officer, Love's actions have the potential to not only taint your investigation, but to seriously undermine the trust in BLM's law enforcement office and thwart congressional oversight of the Bureau. As such, I request that you investigate the specific allegations raised in your interviews of destruction of federal records, witness tampering, and obstruction of a congressional investigation. And there is a letter here. It says the letter below is signed by the chairman of the Oversight Committee, Utah Representative Jason Chavez, and Blake Farenthold, the chairman of the subcommittee on the Interior, Energy, and Environment. And it's a letter to Ms. Mary L. Kendall, Director General. It says, Dear Ms. Kendall, we received the unredacted report from your office titled Investigative Report of Ethical Violations and Misconduct by the BLM officials, dated January the 30th, 2017. I understand your office initiated this investigation in October of 2015 after receiving numerous complaints concerning BLM's employee Daniel Paul Love. The report documents numerous instances of troubling behavior exhibited by Love. One such instance involved the initial withholding of documents responsive to a congressional inquiry. Your report documents that a witness told your investigators that after receiving a congressional request for documents, the witness heard Dan Love say to another BLM employee that said BLM employee needed to make sure that the scrubbed emails or that he scrubbed emails before he sent them, flagging anything that looked inappropriate so that Dan Love could remove them if needed. In another part of the report, a witness testifies about how a BLM employee accessed and deleted hundreds of documents from a shared network. The deleted documents were team documents, which served as a historical record or administrative record for the BLM authorized event. The witness stated the deleted documents were subject to the Federal Records Act and were required under the law not to be destroyed. If substantiated, these attempts to conceal documents and destroy federal records responsive to a congressional inquiry are unlawful, as it is a federal crime to obstruct a congressional investigation or falsify, conceal, or cover up a material fact in one. The timing of the deletion of federal records raises questions. In your report, a witness notes a BLM employee deleted hundreds of documents on February the 3rd of 2016, only to receive a congressional request for those same documents the very next day. The witness states that it just seemed odd to her that on February the 3rd, a lot of documents were removed or deleted from the Google Drive, and then the next day, BLM is hit with the congressional inquiry. It also raises questions that former BLM Director Neil Corns was provided as a courtesy advance notice of the congressional document request prior to February 3rd. We must find out which BLM employees were aware of an impending congressional inquiry when they set about deleting potentially federal records. Your report documents that Love allegedly attempted to influence the outcome of your investigation by coaching a witness in advance of an interview with your investigators. In your investigative report, you state a specific occasion when Dan Love called a BLM employee and essentially gave said BLM employee talking points for any questions that may come up during his interview with your office. The report states Love provided that same BLM employee with rationalizations, leading the employee to believe Love was essentially telling them what to say in the interview. This allegation is problematic as it occurred after you had already initiated your investigation into Love's behavior. Law enforcement officer, Love's actions have been potentially not only taint your investigation, but to seriously undermine the trust in BLM's law enforcement office. And whoever, let's see, well, it just kind of falls off there. It says the trust in BLM's law enforcement office, and then there is an insert here. It says whoever corruptly or by threats or force or by threatening letter or communication influences, obstructs, or impedes, or endeavors to influence, obstruct, or impede the due administration of the law under which any pending proceeding is being had before any department or agency of the United States, or the due and proper exercise of the power of inquiry under which any injury or investigation is being had by either House or by, or try that again, or any committee of either House or any joint committee of the Congress, shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 5 years, or if the offense involves international or domestic terrorism as defined in section 2331, imprisoned not more than 8 years, or both. Similarly, 18 USC 1 states in relevant part A, except as otherwise provided in this section, whoever in any manner within the jurisdiction of the executive, legislative, or judicial branch of the government of the United States, knowing and willfully, 1, fails or covers up any trick, scheme, or devise a material fact. 2, makes any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation. Or 3, makes any false writing or document, knowing the same to contain any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or entry, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years. And says at attachment 18. Okay, now I guess we pick up where we left off. Let me start with that paragraph that fell off again. It says, as federal law enforcement officer, Love's actions have the potential to not only taint your investigation, undermine the trust in the BLM's law enforcement, and thwart congressional oversight of the Bureau. As such, I request that you investigate the specific allegations raised in your interviews of destruction of federal records, witness tampering, and obstruction of a congressional investigation. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform Investigative Committee in the U.S. House of Representatives, pursuant to House Rule X, the committee has the authority to investigate any matter at any time. Please have your staff contact of Chairman Chavez's staff at 202-225-5074 with any questions about this request. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and it is signed by Chavez and Farenthold. Then the article says, there is no question that the avalanche of accusations against the investigation into the activities of BLM agent Dan Love will prove problematic for the Fed's attempt to prosecution of the Bundy Ranch defendants in the ongoing Nevada trials. Dan Love is a key prosecution witness in the Nevada trial, but his apparent tampering, lies, and destruction of records may completely derail the Fed's case. As Chavez's fierce committee presses the Love investigation, years of outcry from the Bundys and others in Nevada and Utah, including the family of Dr. James Redd, who have been victims of the arrogance and aggressive tactics of the BLM agent Dan Love, may finally be vindicated. The next article that I have for you is off of conservativefiringline.com. Left threatens boycott. Trump's products fly off the shelves. There's a couple of retailers that have figured out that caving to the left hurts their business. Ivanka Trump's signature perfume has sailed Amazon, and New York-based Wegmans Grocery in Virginia can't keep Trump's wine on the shelves in spite of boycott threats. Companies like Nordstrom's and Sears have discontinued Trump's merchandise, are all claiming business decisions, in spite of the fact that the liberals have literally inundated the companies with threats to boycott their businesses. MarketWatch suggests that sometimes a resistance economy can help a brand as well as hurt it. of Wegmans grocery for Trump's wine, as well as Amazon for Ivanka's signature perfumes. The left hashtag grab your wallet campaign appears to have backfired in this atmosphere. The Daily Wire reported on the Trump wine. The grocer said that 9 of its Virginia stores had sold out of the Trump branded wine despite efforts to boycott of the product and Wegmans for selling it, reports the Democrat and a paper from upstate New York where the grocer was established. Wegmans said midday Friday that only its Charlottesville store had any bottles remaining, 160 left Meritage and about 18 of a crew. All other Virginia stores are out of stock of all Trump wines, said Wegmans spokesman Telly. We will replenish our supply, but it may be 3 or 4 weeks before it is available again. While the New York-based chain currently only offers Trump winery products in its Virginia stores, their other locations offer customers an option to special order the product. It says the Trump wine business is in the hands of son Eric. And the article continues. It says Ivanka's perfumes literally soared to #1 on Amazon after Nordstrom's dumped it. Her fragrance sells for between $15 and $40. If buying a $15 perfume helps just a little in sending a message to those companies that are caving into the left and their intolerant hate of our president, then so be it, Miranda Taylor, perfume buyer, says. And the war rages on. The next article here is off of Herman Cain, and it says NAACP requires photo ID to attend anti-voter ID protest march. I can't make this stuff up. Let me read that again. NAACP requires photo ID to anti-voter ID protest march. Wow. You would think that at some point we'd run out of you can't make this stuff up moments, wouldn't you? In 2011, Elon University conducted a poll which revealed that 75% of North Carolina residents supported a wide swath of new voter ID regulations that were at the time making their way through the legislature. With such broad support, the measures brainer. They eventually passed and were signed into law last August. Obviously, these laws are extreme racist. Requiring minority voters to show ID to cast a ballot is clearly a way for old white men to oppress them. So, as usual, the NAACP has been foaming at the mouth as it continues its completely genuine, not at all phony struggle for equality. Each year, the civil rights watchdogs hold a so-called moral march on Raleigh. That's Raleigh, North Carolina. The annual event is designed to protest any laws that Republicans may have passed during the preceding 12 months. This year's march took place this weekend, and it focused extensively on the voter ID regulations, or I guess that's regulations. It says regs. So why did you need if you wanted to attend? Now, that doesn't make any sense. I think they mean ID. Why did you need ID? It says important do's and don'ts for marchers in a tweet here. It says this march and rally will be conducted in a peaceful and nonviolent manner in accordance with the historic custom of civil rights movement. As invitees, participants agree to conduct themselves accordingly and to promptly obey instructions of the marshals at all times. Do know your bus number, marshals and bus captains. Do look out for the elderly and the young. Do ignore any taunts and or jeers from the public. Do not react to such in any manner by starting or using verbal facial expressions. Do observe proper decorum, demonstrating respect for and follow instructions from marshals and law enforcement. Do direct media inquiries to spokespersons. Remember, nothing is ever off the record. People who join the march from the public and notify a marshal. Do immediately report any altercation or persons um, deviating from the rules to a marshal. Do remain calm if any altercation or other disruption occurs. Do bring photo identification, driver's license, passport, or other valid photo ID with you and keep it on your person at all times. And the person's tweet says hashtag Moral March will protest North Carolina's new racist hashtag voter ID, but you're required to bring photo ID to the march. Yep, that's right. You need to have a driver's license, passport, or other valid photo ID if you wanted to protest the scheme to make sure you have a driver's license, passport, or other valid photo ID in order to vote. That is liberal, progressive mind in action. Aren't these the very same people who are constantly making the argument that poor, uneducated minority voters can't get a photo ID due to the deplorable conditions into which our downright mean country has forced them? Isn't the NAACP disenfranchising would-be marchers by stripping them of their First Amendment rights? More importantly, if bring a photo ID to the protest march, they should already have one when the elections roll around. Doesn't that negate the point of holding the march in the first place? Remember, everyone, the NAACP thinks you're more than capable of getting a photo ID to attend their rally, but they think it's an insurmountable hardship for you to get one in order to vote. We'd like to congratulate the usually obtruse NAACP for so openly destroying its own argument. Do it more often. When they do heavy lifting, it makes our jobs just that much easier. Be sure to like Robert Laurie over on his Facebook and follow him on Twitter. You'll be glad you did. The next one we have is off of BizPac Review. And it says, historians just ranked presidential leadership. Any guesses where Obama landed? C-SPAN historians have decided that former President Barack Obama is America's 12th best president. Obama came in right behind Woodrow Wilson and in front of James Monroe in the network's third historians survey of presidential leadership released on Friday. I'm surprised he got that high. Video, C-SPAN's new historian survey on presidential leadership, and there's a link for that from C-SPAN. It says Abraham Lincoln retained the top position where he voted #1 in C-SPAN's first two surveys released in 2000 and 2009. George Washington, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Theodore Roosevelt retained their top 5 positions and were joined by Dwight Eisenhower for the first time in the top 5. A panel of 91 presidential historians ranked the 43 former presidents according to a press release on the scale of 1 to 10 on 10 different qualities of presidential leadership, including moral authority, crisis leadership, economic management, vision setting and agenda, and whether they pursued equal justice for all. Obama beat former President George W. Bush, who ranked number 33, and he passed fellow Democratic President Bill Clinton, who came in at number 15. But Obama fell short of reaching Republican Party icon, former President Ronald Reagan, who settled in at number 9. Once again, the big three are Lincoln, Washington, and FDR, as it should be. That Obama came in at number 12, his first time out, is quite impressive, and the survey is surprisingly good news for George W. Bush, who shot up a few notches. Presidential historian Douglas Brinkley of Rice University in Houston said. C-SPAN noted that Obama leadership category ratings ranged from number 3 for pursued equal justice for all to number 39 for relations with Congress. Also note that was the biggest loser of the survey, Andrew Jackson, who dropped 5 places since 2009 from 13th to 18th. Howard University historian and part of C-SPAN's advisory team, Edna Green Medford, thought Obama's ranking should have been higher overall, even noting that his moral standing was too low. Obama's favorable rating when he left office would have translated into a higher ranking in his presidential survey. I'm especially surprised that he was ranked at 7th in moral authority despite heading a scandal-free administration. Wow, where'd they get that? 19th in administrative skills, and 8th in economic management, despite having helped to save the auto industry and significantly reducing unemployment. What? I can't make this stuff up. Who was deranged enough to write this? Wow. It says, but of course, historians prefer to view the past from a distance, and only time will reveal his legacy. Reaction to the survey results on social media was mixed, with some believing Obama's score will continue to rise, while others wondered about the liberal academics who were surveyed and their political amnesia. Yeah, amen to that. Whoo-wee. Like, some of those people on that panel were, what drugs are they on? The next one's off of BizPac Review. Anti-police protest gets violent. 2 officers injured. See what bullets Trump hate crowds call peaceful. Philadelphia protest denouncing police violence got violent itself, sending 2 police officers to the hospital. The injured officers were sprayed with pepper spray as they tried to control the crowd that described itself as ungovernable as they burned an American flag. Organized by the Black Resistance March chanted, "Pigs go home, bullets Trump hate," and "No good cop but a dead one." Protest organizers Megan Melanche said it was police who initiated the violence. "We were attempting to continue our protest, continuing to assert our rights to protest, and police did not want us to go certain places, and they decided they were going to stop us by being violent," she told NBC 10. "There was no such thing as a peaceful protest when police are present," she said. Philadelphia Police Chief Inspector Joe Sullivan denied that charge when he spoke to NBC 10. "Once you elect to spray police officers with a caustic substance, you are no longer involved in protest activity. You're involved in criminal activity," he said. 4 of the protesters were apprehended, according to NBC 10. The protest was documented on social media. Whole list of tweets there, if you want to pull it up to read those. The next one we have is off of Conservative Tribune. It says, FBI clears Trump. They talk to Russian intel officers. Following the President Donald Trump's surprising upset of Democrat nominee Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election, Democrats and their lapdogs in the media embarked on creating a narrative asserting that Trump and his people had knowingly colluded with the Russian government to deny Clinton her due victory. Though the narrative was and continues to be rather far-fetched, and pundits have doggedly continued to push the idea that there is some sort of unholy alliance between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Recent remarks from the FBI and other intelligence officials reported by the mainstream media have pulled the rug out from under that particular narrative. ABC News issued a breathless report about how the Russians were attempting to develop contacts and acquire a mole inside the White House. Yet ABC itself noted something the Russians have done for decades since the Cold War, not at all an unprecedented move or even anything out of the ordinary. The network even seemed to contradict its own narrative further by 6 paragraphs when it wrote, or by the 6th paragraph when it wrote, "A senior intelligence official told ABC News last night that no evidence gathered by the FBI so far suggests Trump associates knew they were talking to Russian intelligence officers." The news of there being absolutely no evidence proving collusion between Trump's team and the Russians might have been downplayed by ABC, but it was also reported by NBC News reporter Pete Williams, according to the Daily Wire. Speaking to anchor Craig Melvin about the ongoing FBI investigation, Williams reported they found no incident that there was any collusion. The number of these contacts were not a large number. They were not consistent. They were not contacts, as far as the U.S. knows, with Russian intelligence people. One official told me today, "You never know with the Russians, but there is no confirmed connection between these Trump associates and any Russian intelligence figures," Williams added. And there's an insert that says NBC's Pete Williams reports as we have all along, that investigators have found no collusion between Trump campaign and contacts in Russia. When these reports revealing there is no evidence so far to support the allegations of collusion are viewed alongside the provocative actions Russia has made in recent days, such as cruising a spy ship and up and down the east coast of the U.S., buzzing U.S. naval vessels in international waters with military jets, or deploying missiles of bilateral deals, the whole Trump and Putin are BFFs narrative simply crumbles. The media may want to find some other sort of scandal with which to bring down their sworn enemy, Trump, or perhaps they can simply report the news and allow the American people to formulate their own opinions on. We have is off of thetruthdivision.com, and it says Maxine Waters talking with Russian hackers. Impeachable offense. The mainstream media, or any media really, has yet to report on the fact that California Democrat Maxine Waters was called by Russian hackers, and one of which posed as the Ukrainian Prime Minister, Vladimir Groisman, which is a fake name. While they're hackers, they're also pranksters, putting their 11-minute conversation with the Congresswoman online, showing the entire world how badly she was duped by a simple Ukrainian accent. It's very embarrassing, yet very entertaining. However, a congressional member talking with foreign nationals about U.S. national security issues is an impeachable offense, making this video as damning as it is funny. And the video is here in this article if you want to pull it up and take a look at it. It says, it says Russian hackers play phone prank on fool Democrat Maxine Waters is the name of the, and I'm pretty sure that is also on YouTube, so if you just want to use that title, Russian hackers play phone prank on fool Democrat Maxine Waters, you can probably find it if you don't want to pull up the article. The next one here is off of oathkeepers.org, and it says, John McCain's 1969 Tokyo Rose propaganda recording released, showing he was a traitor who turned against his own country. A recording has surfaced proving that U.S. Senator John McCain collaborated with the North Vietnamese by recording a Tokyo Rose-style propaganda message that was broadcast on North Vietnamese radio in 1969. For many years, American former POWs who were in the Hanoi Hilton North Vietnamese prison with John McCain called him a songbird who collaborated with the enemy against his own country. They accused him of turning against them and against his own country in exchange for preferential treatment, while many of the actually brave and honorable American POWs endured torture and denial of medical care and food for refusing to collaborate. The POWs branded McCain a traitor who was no hero, but nonetheless used his fake hero status to rise to political power. Word against his until now. Now, from the U.S. National Archives comes the proof of their allegations. McCain, by his own words, was, in fact, a traitor who collaborated with the enemy by recording a Tokyo Rose statement condemning his own nation by admitting crimes against North Vietnamese people, stating, U.S. airmen am guilty of crimes against the Vietnamese country and people. McCain's recorded statement also painted a picture of humane treatment of prisoners, even though he knew many of his fellow Americans were being tortured and denied medical care and adequate food. He is heard to say, I received this kind of treatment and food even though, or try this again, I received this kind of treatment and food even though I came here as an aggressor. I injured have much difficulty in their living standards. I wish to express my deep gratitude for my kind treatment, and I will never forget this kindness extended to me, unquote. And it has the audio of this here in this URL if you want to pull it up and listen to it. It's called John McCain's 1969 Tokyo Rose propaganda recording release. And I'm pretty sure this is on YouTube if you want to pull it up there. It says, last year, Stuart Rhodes, was attacked by the left-wing media for calling McCain a traitor who deserved to be tried for treason for his support of the U.S. or try this again for his support of the use of military detention and military tribunals for Americans rather than a jury trial as required by our Constitution. And then, once convicted, deserved to suffer the punishment for someone convicted of treason, which is to be hung by the neck until dead. Turns out I was right. He is a traitor. And now there is direct evidence to back that up. In addition to his horrid voting record against the Constitution, well, now we can finally try him for treason and then sentence him accordingly. Or will he, like Hillary Clinton, get a pass on his crimes despite the direct smoking gun evidence? Because both of them are part of the political elite. Answer to that. TrueNews.com is to be commended for their work in making this record or this recording public after all these years. Here's what they have to say about this. It says U.S. Senator John McCain recorded a Tokyo Rose-style propaganda message that was broadcast on North Vietnamese radio in 1969. True News acquired the audio recording in cooperation with WeSearchR.com, a new media company founded by Charles Johnson. The 1969 North Vietnamese radio broadcast has never been heard in the United States of America. In fact, there has never been any knowledge that such recording existed. The audio recording was found in a misplaced file in the National Archives in Washington, D.C. The broadcast was recorded by the Foreign Broadcast Information Service, a branch of the CIA that monitored international shortwave and foreign radio broadcasts. Lieutenant Commander John McCain was shot down over Hanoi by North Vietnamese missile while flying his 23rd bombing mission. Both of his arms and one leg were broken. He was pulled ashore by North Vietnamese who took him to a prison known by POWs as Hanoi Hilton. McCain was a prisoner of war for 5.5 years. He was released on March the 14th of 1973 and returned to the United States of America as a war hero. His POW legacy propelled McCain to victory in a race for U.S. congressional seat in Arizona in 1982. He replaced Barry Goldwater in the Senate in 1986. And it says see more at True News, and it gives the URL here if you want to pull that up and take a look at that. And there's another link. It says read more here, so you can click on that and read more. It says here's the transcript of the recording. To the Vietnamese people and the government of DRVN, from John Sidney McCain, 624787, Lieutenant Commander, U.S. Navy, born 29th of August of 1936. Panama Home State, Oregon, shot down 26th of November 1967. A-4E aircraft. I, as a U.S. airman, am guilty of crimes against the Vietnamese country and people. I bombed their cities, towns, and villages and caused many injuries, even deaths. I was captured in the capital city of Hanoi while attacking it. I was taken to the hospital in Hanoi where I received very good medical treatment. I was given an operation on my leg, which allowed me to walk again, and a cast on my right arm in 3 places. The doctors were very good, and they knew a great deal about the practice of medicine. I remained in the hospital for some time and regained much of my health and strength. Since I arrived in the camp of detention, I received humane and lenient treatment. I received this kind treatment and food, even though I came here as an aggressor, and the people who I injured have much difficulty in their living standards. I wish to express my deep gratitude for my kind treatment, and I will never forget this kindness extended to me. And there's another link that you can click on to see more about this. There's a note at the bottom of this that says, note that TrueNews.com reports that the broadcast was recorded by the Foreign Broadcast Information Service, a branch of the CIA that monitored international shortwave and foreign radio broadcasts. So the CIA, our supposed Central Intelligence Agency, knew that he was a traitor. Of intelligence to President Nixon? Did they inform the Joint Chief of Staff? Did they even notify McCain's command? Again, you already know the answer to that. What they did was sit on it. And no doubt they National Archives and let McCain know that they had it there somewhere and that they could have the misfiled correct anytime they wanted. So he would be compliant and do it as commanded throughout his career. That's how it's done. They had McCain under their control as a Manchurian candidate from that moment on, which is why it was kept an internal CIA secret all those years until now. I have to wonder if the CIA didn't just now determine to throw McCain to the wolves for some reason. I'd be curious to know how TrueNews.com and friends found the recording. Were they given an anonymous tip? Regardless, McCain's goose is now good and cooked. If he had a shred of honor, he would resign. But no doubt he will try to find a way to worm out of this. But I don't think it'll work. Not this time. And those who recently sided with him against Trump, such as Newt Gingrich, are now on the side of a confirmed traitor. Again, perfect timing for an try this again, for an implosion of the corrupt GOP old guard. Interesting. You can bet Trump will use this to full effect. And he can't use it soon enough to suit me. Here's off a BizPack review. You can get this. McCain, snookered by Ukrainian leader prank caller, spills beans on Trump and Russian sanctions. A pair of notorious Russian pranksters are at it again, this time pretending to be Ukrainian and catching Arizona Senator John McCain in a prank phone call. As a well-known phone pranksters, Vovin, otherwise known as Vladimir Kunstikov, and Alexei Solarov, I'm guessing that's how those are pronounced, I'm not Russian, and McCain this week pretended to be Prime Minister Mar Groisman, leader of Ukraine, and McCain fell for it, the Gateway Pundit.com reported. And that's the same one they used on Waters. During the call, the Russian fakers tried to get McCain to agree to send heavy-duty military hardware to Ukraine for use against the Russians. The Ukraine Prime Minister also asked what policies President Donald Trump had in store for their region. To that, McCain said, "I have to be very frank with you, my friend, the Prime Minister. I do not know what the President is going to do." Can't make this stuff up. Next one we have here is off of BizPack Review. It says, Black leaders in Chicago have had enough. Finally, obvious about violent crime. Now brace yourself because you're going to find this hard to believe. Chicago residents need to start taking responsibility for the city's shootings, according to Black leaders in the area. The Chicago Police Department hosted an Operation Wake Up event Thursday where the leaders were urged the residents to stop blaming the police, reports the Chicago Sun-Times. When it comes to violence and our children, there is no side. We are all on the side of righteousness and justice on this, Glenn Brooks said, speaking in response to a widely held view that Chicago protests only police brutality. Nobody wants to see death and destruction visit upon their family, their neighbors, or their communities, Brooks, a CPD coordinator, added. Numerous officials, police residents, and activists came to the event, which is held close to the place where a 2-year-old boy and his aunt were shot over Facebook Live. Little boy died from his injuries. Chicago activists pointed out at the rally that the police weren't responsible for those 2 victims. Guess what? Not one police did it this time. Where's the outrage? Clark asked the crowd. Levante White, the 2-year-old, was driving with his pregnant aunt and her boyfriend, Lazarek Collins, when someone opened fire dozens of times on their vehicle. Both Collins and White died from their injuries. White's aunt managed to escape and caught the incident on Facebook Live. Call 911. I got a bullet in my stomach. They shot him. Please, please, I can't breathe, White's aunt said in the video. Clark also criticized the community for the lack of response over the deaths in Chicago. And there is more people that stand in the Air Jordan line than there are out here in the community for this baby. This baby died for the decisions that we, as young adults, make, she said. Other speakers at the rally echoed her words. A first responder told the crowd that it was time for them to fix the violence in their city, as too many children have already been lost to it. My message is to the community. Come together, block by block, neighbor by neighbor, friend by friend. It's too many children been laid to rest early, and we're having family reunions every week, stated Andrew Holmes, and died of gun violence. The next article is off of Liberty Writers. It says, boom, General Mattis just destroyed Putin, begged for our help. If you want proof that Donald Trump is a fit leader, look no further than his Secretary of Defense, James Mattis. Earlier today, Vladimir Putin requested that the United States military and NATO should begin sharing intelligence and working with Russian troops. Mattis said, no freaking way. In a strong show of support to our longtime NATO allies, Mattis told reporters, we are not in a position right now to collaborate on military level, but your political leaders will engage and try to find common ground. The plan. Wait for Putin to come asking for, and then tell him, first you got to do something for us. Secretary Mattis really is military genius. We were promised he would be. See, I would love to work with Russia and help tackle terrorism, but there yet. Trust is earned, not given, and Putin has to show some real effort before we do anything for them. The Kremlin released this statement last night. It says, it's in the general interest to establish dialogue with special services of the United States and other member countries of NATO. We need to establish cooperation at a new level in the anti-terrorist sphere with foreign partners. So, yes, Russia will be getting their dialogue they requested, but nothing else until they give us a good reason. God bless America, and God bless Jim Mattis. The article that I have in this episode for you is off of Liberty Writers. It says, kill shot. Watch Trump turn to the camera and say the number one thing that'll ruin Hillary Clinton. President Donald Trump had a fiery press conference. This was one for the ages. This was the one that finally did CNN and the rest of the dishonest media in. This was the kill shot. Trump said, quote, we had Hillary Clinton give Russia 20% of the uranium in our country. Nobody talks about that. I didn't do anything for Russia. I've done nothing for Russia. Hillary Clinton gave them 20% of our uranium, unquote. Donald Trump even mocked Hillary Clinton. That was so funny. Video in this, if you want to pull it up and take a look at that. It says this fake news media is ignoring all the stuff that the Democrats did to ruin this country. We need to fight back. We need Americans to know that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats are more tied to Russia than Trump. Fox Business put out a tweet that says, President at Real Donald Trump responds to Blake Berman's question on fake news. It says, Hillary Clinton did a reset. Remember, with the stupid plastic button that made us all look like a bunch of jerks? If you love Trump, let's show our support. He needs it again. But we haven't won the war. And that's all I have for you in this episode. If you like what I'm doing, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like what I'm doing, you can't please everybody. I just try to please the ones that want to know what the information is. And you might want to share this on your social media so that other people get to hear the news. And if you'd like to subscribe, you know where that subscribe button is. Hit that. Stay informed. Have a great day.